Good morning, people. This is your man Kels, and today I'm going to give you guys a tutorial on how to use Sony Vegas Pro. This is what I use to render all my videos, and it's what I've been using. So today we're going to go over the basics of using Sony Vegas, how to get your clips into Sony Vegas, how to render Sony Vegas, and I'll just cover some slight basics like slicing and dicing and some basic editing, but not too much. We're going to save that for part 2 and not try to make these videos too long. So let's get started. First and foremost, you're going to open Sony Vegas. And to do so, you obviously click Sony Vegas. Mine's already open. So I'm going to minimize and maximize it just for the effect of showing you guys that I actually opened it, but I didn't. Let's pretend I did. So it's open. Now, your Sony Vegas may not look the same way as far as the actual layout. As far as this window here and this window over here, so on and so on. It might be a little bit different, and over time, this is from actual usage, my layout has turned out to look like this. So if you have a new fresh install, this window right here is going to be a preview window, or it could look like this, something like this, and then right here you have a preview window. Well, my preview window's gone. I don't use it. I think it's stupid. I have no need for it. Never did. Never will. End of story. This is how I use Sony Vegas. And it doesn't really matter what you have up here and how it's laid out. Figure that all out, and I can also show you another video. But for today, we're just going to go over the basics. How to get your audio tracks, your video tracks, your gameplays, your recording, cell phones, whatever it is that you're trying to edit into Sony Vegas, and how to render them in Sony Vegas. Okay, first and foremost, you're going to come up here to File. You're going to hit New, creating a new project. Now you get your new project window that opens up. Inside your new project window, there's only 3 things you got to worry about. Is your resolution, the file size. Basically, comes down to file size. So this is the resolution. Did you record in 1080? If you did, fine. You can proceed with a 1080 editing and rendering. However, if you recorded your gameplay in 720, you cannot edit in 1080. It just doesn't work that way. You're trying to make something happen that doesn't exist. So, personal preference. Let's say you recorded your gameplay like myself in 1920 by 1080, 60 frames per second. However, you don't want such a big file size because you don't want this thing to render for days and days at a time. You can do this. You can customize these resolution settings, so I can make it 1280 by 720. And instead of 60 frames per second, I can drop it down to 30. So for what I'm doing here, which is nothing more than recording my desktop and doing a tutorial on Sony Vegas, which is a program technically on my desktop. Recording this, I do not need 1080p, and I certainly do not need 60 frames per second. It's only going to make the render times longer and the upload times longer and the processing times longer, and it's completely irrelevant. The only time you need 60 frames per second is when you have a lot of high action, high motion gameplay, like Call of Duty. First thing you want to do is actually, after you create your new file, we'll do that one more time, and you set your resolution. So I'm going to actually set mine to what I'm recording at right now, which is 720, or you know what, since I'm giving a tutorial on using this for gaming, 1920 1920 by 1080 and 60 frames per second. Everything else on here you do not have to touch. Field order none, pixel aspect ratio 1, output rotation 0, stereoscopic 3D off, pixel format 8-bit off, best Gaussian none. Everything here you don't touch. Start all, and if you're going to do all your videos the same way, just click start all new projects with these settings and click OK. Now the second thing you want to do is actually bring in your actual footage. So once you open up your folder to wherever you actually have your footage, you're going to bring your footage in, and for me, it would be right here, Black Ops. It would be my last game that I just did, and then you get this pop-up. Do you want to set your project video settings to match this media? just say no. Just say no, people. Just say no. Okay. So now, don't worry about that. All it is matching up the video with the... So in other words, if you set your Sony Vegas to render at 720, but your gameplay was recorded in 1080, then Sony Vegas will downsample it to 720. That's basically all that little message meant. Just hit no because we're going to customize it ourselves anyways. So here's our game footage, okay? Sometimes it might come in like this or like this. It depends. But for new setups, new projects, it will pretty much always come into the very end. So make sure right over here, it's all the way to the end. Now that your video clip is in here with your audio, you can see that your video and your audio are separated. And it's always going to be like that, whether it's a cell phone, a camcorder, or recorded game footage from a computer or a game capture card, whatever. It's always going to be separated in Sony Vegas. Now, very, very next thing you need to do, it's very extremely important, and before I do it, I'm actually going to show you why. Let me get oh, there we go. As you can see, my gun is doubled because it's ghosting, and every single thing in this image is ghosting. All this doubling, blurred vision stuff is called ghosting, okay? And the reason it's ghosting is because Sony Vegas adds this thing called Resample. And so what you need to do is go to right-click on the video, anywhere on the video, it just doesn't matter. If I actually play this video out, you'll see how horrible. Let me get to some action. It probably doesn't look that bad to you guys, but trust me, it's bad. If I pause it and I come up here to switches and I click disable resample and now I hit play, now you can see the clarity. Let's go back a little bit to where I was. Clarity is 100 times better. And you'll see that when you're actually playing with Sony Vegas. Okay? So, most important thing you need to do, switches, disable resample before you do anything else. Because if you forget to do it, and I've done it a million times, and you're slicing up your videos like this, right? And you got transitions in there, and you got all your audio tracks, and this guy's down here, and this is over here, and this is overlaid, da-da-da-da, and then all of a sudden you go, I forgot to disable resampling, right? Because you're looking at your video and it looks like this. And you play it back and it's all blurry and shitty and you're like freaking out and you just want to scream and cry and like, oh my God, what's happening to my life? Okay, because you forgot to disable resampling the first time. So now you would either have to start all over or find all these little clips one by one like this, and you'd have to click each one and disable resample. You get the point. Okay. So let's start all over. Wipe this clean. No. And we have our settings. Yes, yes, yes. Click OK. It wipes the slate clear. We're going to open up our folder. We're going to find our media. We're going to double click it. We're going to click no just because we're going to customize it anyways. And what are we going to do? We're going to disable resampling. We're going to go to switches. We're going to highlight it first. Then we're going to right click it. Then we're going to go to switches. Then we're going to go to disable resampling. And we're done with that. That's taken care of. That's an actual problem that we have to take care of. Now here's our video, and I know that this video is two videos, like the end of one video mashed into the other. So now I'm going to scroll all the way to the beginning. I'm going to click the video, and wherever I click, you can see that that marker jumps to my mouse. Right? Okay. So when it jumps, now if I hit S, which is to split or cut, okay, that's where it will split. So I'm going to jump back, and I already know that this is pretty much the beginning of my clip. So that's me playing with the game, and I kind of started right here. So now I'm going to hit S, okay? Now that I'm because I've been clicking, now if I come down here and click on the audio, you see that this track is highlighted because this is blue over here on the left, excuse me. Now if I click on this, this is highlighted, which tells me this I'm working on this one, I'm working on this one. So it's highlighted on the left, so you know which one is working on. Also, you can see this yellow ring that's running around it, right? Yellow ring around and around it. So you click on whatever you're going to slice or whatever. In this case, these are both grouped together. So when I slice the video, the audio will come with it. So example, if I go up here and just click split, it will split it. Or you can Control Z and undo it. Or you can just, wherever you want that split to happen. So for me is somewhere around, well, we'll just do it here. Just hit S. That's a shortcut for splitting. And then come back over here. Now we got two pieces, right? Okay. Come over here and highlight the one you want to delete and get rid of. Grab the rest of your track and bring it back. Slide it back to the beginning. Okay. So now that's the beginning of your video right here. A little lame, but that's the beginning. And then now we'll go to the end of the video. And since I came out on top on this gameplay, I obviously want this to play out with my character speaking. Right, so I landed perfectly. I'm going to split it right at the beginning. Pause it, split it again, because we want that piece. And then we're going to scroll out till we get to the scoreboard. Right there. Split it. Let it roll out for a few seconds. And split it again. And pause. Now, click on that area where you just did all those little tiny slices and scroll your mouse wheel. Click, scroll, click, scroll, click, scroll. When you click and scroll, it keeps it centered inside your timeline. Otherwise, if I just click, sorry, if I just click once and I just start scrolling, it disappears, right? It goes like that, goes off to the left. So to keep it centered right in the middle of this timeline, click it, scroll, click it, scroll. Okay, so now we can see these tiny little slithers that we just split, and now we know what we want to delete, right? So we want to delete the end. And we want to delete this whole long piece here and then drag this over so it flows like this. Nice little fade out. Now on the corners, in order to fade things in and out, all you do is drag corners like that. Okay. Hover over until this thing turns into that little piece of pie shaped thing, the triangle. And you can fade like this, and then when you have that shape you can right click and then you can fade it like this. Fade it down, fade it up and down. And so I'll give you an example. I'll choose this one, and this is how the fade will look. It'll be a hard, sharp down and out. Okay, and we can do that with pretty much everything that's split, right? So we can fade this one in too, and then this one we can change it so that it actually goes that way, and it'll look like this. Right, so let's actually change this fade to come up a little bit more gradual. Maybe bring it in a little bit more. I think it still comes in a little too hard. So let's try it again. Here we go. I would drag this fade over here just a little bit more so when she's done talking, it'll begin to fade out. Yeah, that needs to drop like that. Perfect. And that one there needs to fade in this way. Like so. Fade in, fade out. Okay, so that's how you fade. It's very simple. So I'm gonna undo all this. Control Z. Voila. Okay, so when you slice something, you just click on the video part that you want to slice it. Right here, I want to slice right here. I want to slice right here. I want to delete that because I don't like it. And make sure your audio is deleted. Remember, we ungrouped these audio and videos together. So we'd have to manually do all this. Get rid of the audio because this audio and that video won't be synced up, right? So now they're synced up. And we can do quick overlays like this by dragging them over each other. Well, actually, it's the same. I would have to do, it's the same exact frame, so nothing's going to change. So we'd have to actually overlay to distant like that. Okay, so that's how you slice. This is how you cut your film. You hit the area wherever you want to do it, and if you want to really zoom in, click and scroll, click and scroll, click and scroll, and you can go hit the arrow keys and you can go frame by frame until you see, like, so my character is talking. If I can get her to point, well, maybe I'll just use that like that, right? And I'll cut it right there. Pause it, zoom back out, start from where I cut it, hit the arrow keys to go through it, frame by frame, stop it there and cut it. Okay, so these are the basics of cutting. I'm not going to get into cutting, and that's kind of what I'm doing right now, is showing you guys how to cut. Okay, so your video is in. The very first thing you did was you set your video projects, because the video project windows pop up and ask you, after you select new, this pops up. So there's your resolution settings. You're either going to run 1080 or 720, and then you're going to do frame rates of 60 or 30, preference, and you're going to click OK. That's all set, and then you're going to come back. You're going to open up your, we'll delete all this. You're going to open up your folder. You're going to find your actual media that you want to work with, double click it, click no, drag this all the way to the beginning, or just zoom out. See, this wasn't all snapped into place properly because I didn't click new. It was already something going on. So when you do new and start from scratch like this, click file, click new, no. This is all the settings. Yes, I'm happy. Click OK. Everything's white clean. We open up our folder. We double click our media. We click no, and everything starts right from the very beginning of the track. And then we right click, switches, disable resampling, and then we find the parts of the video we want to snap it at. We delete the part we don't want, bring it back to the beginning, come down to the end. And just for the sake of this, we'll go here, chop this little piece off at the end, Control A, or you don't have to since these are already grouped together. I would pull it back like this, and then I would go get my intro, drop it in there, and then drop one at the end, and voila, so the video is done. Okay, tomorrow's video, part 2, we'll get into adding webcams, adding audio, but very quickly you would just simply either grab an audio track and bring it in, or just right click anywhere and select insert audio track or insert video track. Doesn't really matter. If you do have all these extra tracks, all you do is right click them, delete track, or just hit D, right click, or yeah, right click D, and then you can just grab an audio track. So I'll grab another video and we'll pretend it's an audio track. So the reason it's up here is because this over here was highlighted and it landed on top. Okay, so if I Control Z and see this track here is highlighted, so when I bring in a new track, it lands there. So I'm going to highlight this one here, okay, and I'll bring in something else, and it should land on top. Voila, just like that. Okay, but we don't want that. That's kind of annoying. So we want to come down here and do insert new audio track. I always do it, or a video, it doesn't matter. Well, do video. Always do video. In my opinion, just do video. It doesn't matter, even if it's, you can just delete it. All you're doing is adding a new track in here. If you want it to be an audio track, if you want it to be a video track, you can, watch, here's the point. You just want that track there, so when you bring in something, it lands here. It doesn't land on top of what you're already got there. And now we have an audio and a video. As you can see, it's going to separate, it's going to create it. So in this case, we're going to pretend this is just music. We're going to ungroup these, and I'll get into that another time. Delete that audio, and pretend this is a long song. And there's our song. There's our audio track, okay? And these will play out. So now, as you can see, the game volume is way too loud. So what I need to do is come over here, and I got to turn these game volumes down. This can be my music, very, very low. And this can be my game volume, which would be right about here. I think this would be a good audio if I was doing this as an actual Call of Duty commentary video right now. That would be my audio. Or you can do it right here. You can grab this tab right in the middle and you can pull it down. Okay, so this whole tab up and down, and then this tab up here on the video will actually change the opacity on the video, so you can actually shine that out. And then these buttons over here are mute, so you can mute all this stuff, which actually shuts it off. It helps when you're working. So if you do have game video like me and I'm working with this, but I also have an audio track, like a song playing in the background as well, it's hard to listen to the game and listen to the song at the same time. So I'll just quickly hit mute, and then I'll work on the sound volume of the music track I got going on in the background. And then once that's set to a really low volume, I'll come back here and I'll adjust my game volume. I can hear my voice inside my headphones, so I can tell the difference between my voice and the game volume voice, and that's how I adjust it. And I can tell it's slightly too loud for a game commentary. And doing this sometimes a little annoying, so I'll just go over here and do this, which this slider is a little bit easier to use, okay? However, the number one reason you're going to want to use this slider is because when you are making cuts like this and edits, there might be a point where you want to shut up and let this play out, right? I keep hitting these little buttons. So for example, I'm talking and I'm commentating, but now I want you guys to hear something. Oh, that was awesome, wasn't it? And then, you know, that track is a little too long, and then we'll get into what I just did there in a minute. Well, not in a minute, in the next video. So, just like this, like this. And you go, I just want you to hear this. Listen really close. Shh. And then the volume drops all by itself, back to normal. So when you're slicing and dicing, you can change each one of these individually, and that's another reason why you want to maybe have this all the way up over here, and then you can individually shut each one of these down all the way. Okay? But if you're not slicing and dicing like this, then you can just do this. Slider over here, left, right, up and down, and you got pan left and right. There's no real reason to do that. Okay? So that's it for this video. We're going to call this part 1, and then tomorrow I will definitely put up part 2 along with some pretty nice sexy ass Black Ops 3 clips that I got going on too. So this your man Kels, aka Vapor. Listen, if you learned anything from this video, if you liked this video, if you enjoyed this video, if you had fun watching this video, if you were inspired by this video, just click the like button. I'll like you for it. Peace.